The Saxton name resonates in Austin. Jim's late father, James Saxton, is a Longhorn legend, a Heisman finalist while playing for Darrell K. Royal. And Jimmy is a UT football legacy from Westlake. He has been insuring Austin for decades. He and his staff will give you old school hospitality when servicing your insurance needs.
I hope it snows a foot and a half. We have a Canadian quarterback. Did you see him throw the ball against Purdue? I mean, this guy grew up like in the frigid north.
That is one of my favorite head coaches in college football right now. Indiana, the Hoosiers, which is not known for their football program, most definitely basketball, but Indiana Hoosiers are significant, and they are playing Notre Dame tonight to kick off the college football playoff, the expanded 12-team field. And, you know, it will be a challenge in itself because of Mother Nature. They're playing at Notre Dame, the Indiana State Championship. This is what it looks like at South Bend, Indiana, how it started, all the snow, and that grounds crew right there. Phenomenal job. I don't know if that field will remain not white before the end of the game tonight. Yeah, Notre Dame, Indiana. Great story. Notre Dame, traditional power. Indiana, the upstart with that head coach right there, Kurt Cignetti. And he was talking about his QB, Curtis Rourke, who's from Canada. So I'm fairly positive that the elements in South Bend, Indiana will not be a factor tonight. Of course, most of you who love this podcast, watch it religiously, you're curious mainly about the Texas Longhorns. Back-to-back seasons in the CFP, and for the first time ever hosting. And this is the first time ever the CFP field will be played on campus sites. And DKR, the only warm weather site to host a CFP first round game. I am Sean Clinch, the host of Stories Inside the Man Cave podcast, and want to give a shout out to all of our sponsors here. Jim Saxton State Farm Insurance Agency, Dirty Martin's, iconic Austin original, just celebrated 98 years, and Hargrove Roofing, know who's on your roof, and Honest Plumbing and Air, where a handshake still means something. So, to kick off the first college football playoff weekend, you know what? Whenever that subject does come up, it's always good to talk about it. And I'm pretty sure that would be good pregame hype music in the locker room or going down the tunnel. It has arrived, guys. And, man, a tremendous buildup throughout the week. But there hasn't been a lot of talk, as many expected, about the CFP exclusively, and we'll get into that. Want to give a shout-out to everybody watching. Thank you for watching Stories Inside the Man Cave, and be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms, that being Facebook, IG, X, YouTube, and on TikTok. And give us a like, share our content, and comment with us as we navigate whatever topic it is. And, of course, college football playoff round one, the weekend has arrived, and there are going to be plenty of Michelob Ultras empty very soon. I can predict that will be – for sure. Bet on it. Michelob Ultra will be consumed in mass quantities at Darrell K. Royal, Texas Memorial Stadium, outside and in. So, final thoughts on Texas and Clemson on the eve of the actual game. Kickoff 3 p.m. here in Austin, Texas time. There's the brackets and the 4 first-round games. So, Texas heavily favored in this game, but mainly because they're at home. Mainly because they have the best defense in the country, some will argue, but you cannot argue the consistency and productivity by that Texas defense. Cade Klubnik is a guy who will ad-lib and make plays. We know the story. He's from here. He's from Westlake. Michael Taft, the All-American DB, the former walk-on for Texas from Westlake, played with Cade Klubnik. We know the story. Back in the 2020 season, in which the state championship game between Southlake Carroll and Westlake was played in January at Jerry World because of the COVID season, in which everybody had a struggle to navigate that. But that was an epic game, the Dodge Bowl. Todd Dodge, obviously coaching against his son that day. There's so many storylines with the connections. We've reviewed all of them. You've heard them ad nauseum. But when you look at this game, and I think a lot of people aren't giving Clemson maybe enough credit on the defensive side of the ball. They do have NFL potential guys. But I do think this Texas defense is, if I were to take an educated guess, they will be prepared tomorrow to not only pressure Cade Klubnik, they're going to try their best not to allow him to beat Texas with his feet. Cade is very capable and very dangerous, and he's one of the best quarterbacks or better quarterbacks in the country. A great guy, and he has improved every season. As for the Texas defense defending him, the key there, because he can get the ball over the top of a defense. I don't think this Texas secondary, which in my opinion is the best defensive backfield in the country, is going to allow that to happen. Of course, just like human nature, Texas will give up a chunk play or two in a coverage breakdown maybe, but it happens. And it's like shooting craps in a casino. They'll give up one or two big plays, but I don't think they'll give up enough big plays for Clemson to make this a shootout type game. But if you're a Texas fan, you don't want a shootout. You just don't. You just need that Texas offense to score 24 to 25 points, which means Quinn Ewers, we need the old Quinn Ewers we saw against Michigan, a game manager who is going to create some big plays with his arm, only needed if he has to use his feet. But I think the chances are, give me the over or under at 25%, that we'll see Arch Manning with certain packages used. I say he'll get 25% of the snaps, perhaps, with specific packages. But the key is for that offense to get that running game going. And Quinn Ewers not having to rely on his feet. I think they really could use Arch to get Quintravion Wisner going and the other running backs going. And you got to have the tight end game and test those linebackers for Clemson and get those chunk yards that way. And then that will allow Quinn or Arch to go over the top and test this Clemson secondary. I do think Texas pulls away in this fourth quarter. I'm thinking something like 33-20. And that's a lot of points for this Texas defense to give up. It really is. I don't see it, but that's my prediction. 33-20, Texas advancing to play Arizona. Now, I alluded to it at the top of this episode that there were more topics not involving the CFP discussed or talked about, more than I expected, more than most expected, but that's mainly because of the transfer portal, which opened last week. And it's not a good setup. And then talking about NIL and how programs develop. But I think first and foremost, let's unbundle this. Let's begin with Sark being asked. The NCAA announced that any athlete, student athlete who plays in junior college, those 1 to 3 years will not be accounted against their NCAA eligibility. Meaning, let's say you or myself go to, let's say, Blinn Junior College. We play football or baseball there 2 years. And then we transfer to an NCAA program. we'll still have 5 years to finish 4. And Steve Sarkisian, the Texas Longhorns head football coach, he was a junior college guy before finishing his career at BYU and had a great career. Needless to say, Sark completely against it, and he voiced his opinion plain and clear. And that's one thing I love about Sark. Very transparent, and he can relate to a lot of us. He'll say what a lot of us are thinking.
We chose to go to junior college football, and that's where we wanted to start and play our career. So I don't understand it at all. We're going to have guys 28, 29 years old playing college football. Like, what's the point, man? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I totally disagree with it.
I agree with him 100%. He makes a great point, because I'm all about giving young people opportunities, especially when it involves opportunities to have their education paid for or partially paid for, or in this modern era, also NIL opportunities. Why not maximize your earning potential on the utilization of your name, image, or likeness? And that's the way it should have been. And it's fairly new navigating it. I think the junior college part will stay unless the athletic directors meet with the NCAA and try to persuade them to change it or alter it a certain way. But when you look at the portal, I mean, we have a bowl game. The Independence Bowl, for example, had to go after Louisiana Tech, which is 5-7, because one of the original teams, their head coach, left because he got a new job opportunity, but they lost 29 players to the portal. 29 players. And how about this stat for you, if you really want to think about it, to put it in perspective? Over 3,700 college football athletes at the FBS and FCS level are in the portal as of the day the portal opened last week. 3,700 plus. That's not a good situation. And it's not so much because they're entering the portal to go find another program. It's because the two different calendars, academic calendar and the football calendar, are overlapping. For those playing in bowl games, for those in the CFP, it doesn't match. I mean, Steve Sarkisian is allowing 3 of his players who entered the portal to remain on the team while they're competing for a national championship. But the problem here is the reason why there's so many opinions that say these kids are selfish, they're in the portal. No, but that's not truly the case. There's a ton of pressure on these student athletes if they want a new start, a new program, a new beginning, a fit for them, a program that will fit them. The pressure's on them to enter now so they can enroll in whatever new school, new program that they want to transfer to, or has a program or school which has expressed interest in them. I thought Jeff Traylor, the head coach at UT San Antonio, we ran this soundbite on the prior episode, 437, the pass rush with Stevie Lee. Jeff Traylor gets it. It is not these kids' fault. It is not, the kids are not to blame. It's the adults who set up this system.
This is not the kids' fault. This is the adults' fault. We're the ones that have messed this up. We got a football calendar going for playoffs, for bowls, that doesn't match up with an academic calendar. The classes end in December. They start again in January. The kids are the ones being caught in the middle of all this stuff. So you have two things working against each other. You have an academic calendar, you got football season we all want finished. And everybody gets mad at kids, and the kids are in a bad spot. And the problem is when a coach tries to explain it, it sounds like we're complaining, and we're just describing what's really going on right now. So I don't see how you hold it against the kids because they're in a tough position. That's a lot to be thinking about.
I mean, put yourself in your shoes. Go back when you're 18 to 22, 23 years old. That's a ton of pressure. And imagine what it's like to be that age nowadays. There's so many pressures out there, so much influence already with social media whatnot, to be pressured to, you're about to make another major change in your life, your surroundings, the team, the facilities, academics. What do I need to do to get into this school? And I've got a month, essentially, to figure it out as soon as you enter that portal in early December. Now, I want to bring back and talk about, I showed you the graphic of the CFP bracket, so to speak. If Texas wins or beats Clemson tomorrow, they will play Arizona State in Atlanta at the Peach Bowl in the quarterfinals of the CFP. Well, speaking of the transfer portal, Zach Swanson, former UT defensive lineman, had a conversation with the coaching staff, Stark and that staff, and coaches have interviews at the end of every season, and they talk about what you need to improve, goals, playing time, what it will take to earn that playing time, or, hey, being very real, being very honest, what their chances are of playing. Well, Zach Swanson was one of those guys who essentially was told, hey, you might want to find a new program. And he was interviewed by our friend Jake Garcia in Phoenix, and Zach went on, not unhinged, but unfiltered about the potential of playing his former team after he was forced to transfer.
That's a team who kicked me out and said I was never going to be good enough to play there. So that's something that has been on my agenda for a while. It's like a dream scenario, so I'm very excited about that. Exactly what was said is, if you want to stay at Texas, you might as well quit football and just go to school here. So a lot of motivation there for me.
I get it, but it is a cutthroat business, major college athletics. Scholarship numbers, I know they're going to increase from 85 to 105 soon, but still, it's just, you have to evaluate and opportunities and if you can upgrade. But for Zach, I'm not mad at him, and nor should anybody else be. We are all dealt with things or changes in our lives which we question why. But you know what? It usually has a good destination. For him, he's back home and playing at a program that has helped him flourish, and he'll get an opportunity probably to play his former team in the national CFP quarterfinal. So it all works out in the end. That's been my attitude for everything. Let's pause and take a quick break and hear from our friends over there at Dirty Martin's Place. And on the other side, we'll talk about Texas high school football lifting the big trophy, gold ball, state championship in the great state of Texas. We'll see you on the other side. Austin, Texas is changing every day, but one constant is Dirty Martin's Place on Guad. Dirty's recently celebrated 98 years young, and the future is solid. And this space in the back is open to host any event, personal or business related.
Hey everyone, it's Daniel here at Dirty Martin's. We're in the Burn Orange Room. We are currently booking a lot of parties back here. If you can see, we got a capacity for about 90 people, but we are excited to host any party that you might want to bring.
Give Daniel Young a call at Dirty's to reserve this space for any event that you can think of. Hey, it's already underway. It started on Wednesday, state championship week in Texas high school football, the best high school football tournament in the entire country. Munster did knock off Shiner, the state power, 2A Division II, but massive Saturday for two 512 representatives, that being Annual State Power Westlake going to play North Crowley from the DFW, and Vandergrift playing Southlake Carroll, Todd Dodge's son Riley, the head coach there. So massive games tomorrow at the highest level of high school football in the great state of Texas. I'm not even going to predict it. All I will say is that Westlake, both games are going to be phenomenal. Since it's Christmas season, we are 5 days away from the big day, Christmas. And, there's so many great movies. I'm not going to ask movies, what's your favorite? But I'm a big National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation guy, no doubt. Cousin Eddie, Chevy Chase, Clark W. Griswold, so many quotes coined that they live and breathe throughout the year. In fact, Todd Dodge, the briefly retired legendary Texas high school football coach who is at Lucas Lovejoy in the DFW now, near his son Riley at Southlake. Well, he and I have this tradition. We usually start the week of Thanksgiving. We text Christmas vacation quotes. But comment with your favorite Christmas movie quote. This is one of mine. It's from Cousin Eddie to Clark W. Griswold. It's the gift that keeps on giving. He was referring to the Jelly of the Month Club, which was Clark's bonus from his job. Phenomenal.
Hey, man, tell me something good.
Three, two, one. 3, 2, and 1. It's not really hard to come up with something positive, especially this time of year with all of the holidays, all the faith-based holidays. Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas. I respect them all. But the beautiful time is seeing everybody happy. I know Stevie and I have mentioned this the last 2 weeks, seeing everybody happy and giving. It is a lot of fun to surprise people. But my thing is throughout this, and it may sound not good, but it is good. Keep in mind, there's a lot of people out there who are smiling and they're happy, but what it appears to be happy. But there's a lot of people with stress. I'm not going to lie. I'm a person who deals with depression like so many other people periodically. But be gentle, be considerate. The roads, the malls, the shopping, the strip malls, the grocery store. Just pause and be nice. And in relationships with people, just take a little time to speak some positivity into someone's life or tell them how much they mean to you. And that may be the best gift you could give anyone, is to show a little bit more love and compassion and realize that this world is greater than us, and looking out for a loved one or a friend that may need it, may need to be uplifted. Man, that was deep. But you know what? Whenever you can talk about college football and the CFP and the fact that major college football, the road to a national championship begins on college campuses such as Clemson at DKR. Man, that is sweet. And it's always good to talk about it. Merry Christmas and happy holidays.